Welcome back, Notnilc travel tourists. Before I tell you where we're going today, let me remind you where we've been. We started about a year ago in Smolensk, Russia. Then we went to Borneo, Tasmania, Astana or Stanta, Kazakhstan, Grozny, Chechnya, Prague, and Iceland. As we travel together, we try to notice repeating themes. Say, the screw over of indigenous and First Nations peoples, illegitimate governments that seem to report to greater masters, the build out of impossible infrastructure where there should be no money to do so, things like that. Repeating scripts of the one world system. That's a big part of why we take the trips. Every country we visited thus far that had an ancient race of First Nations, indigenous, or Indian populations, the same script has arisen. The Peter Stuyvesant colonial powers have come in, and the Cecil Rhodes, to wipe them out, to war with them, to F them over, to relocate them, to change their name, to remove their history. And studying the Notnilc like we do, we have a good idea why this happens. You see, the Notnilc speculates that any group that has an ancient tie through their past and their ancestors knows something about the human soul and spirit. And the Notnilc certainly can't have that. The Notnilc is out to wipe out anyone's recollection of who they are outside of this place. The indigenous people don't put physical things first. Their materialism is typically comes second to the spiritual. Now, not no longer. They'll give him oil wells. They'll give him, what's that Flower Moon, that horrible, wretched Flower Moon movie? You give them oil wells, they run around. Now they'll drive around their Bentleys. They'll forget their spiritual self. To deploy its tactics against ancient peoples and tribal cultures, the Notnilc recruits its darkest minions, like Peter Stuyvesant, pictured here. He warred with a variety of different indigenous populations, not just the American Indian. I think he even fought the Arawak Indians in the West Indies. That's where he got the peg leg. Peter Stuyvesant High School in Lower Manhattan, to this day, the high school mascot is known as the Peg Legs. It doesn't make for a very imposing track team, now does it? Here he is, peg leg and all, Peter Stuyvesant, second cousin to Dracula. It says Peter Stuyvesant at the bottom, Museum of the City of New York, Governor of New Amsterdam. It was called New Amsterdam before it was New York. That's because the Dutch did it first. That's the Dutch influence to you and me. But New Amsterdam, what's that? It's Counting Crows. Down at New Amsterdam, staring at this yellow-haired girl, Mr. Jones strikes up a conversation. You don't think it's possible. Those sons of bitches in the Counting Crows, I like, August and everything after. It's a heck of an album. They drop a lot of 30. And then I was 33, and that guy's a little creepy with his dreadlocks or whatever. Do you think that's an ode to Peter Stuyvesant, down Mr. Jones, down at New Amsterdam, staring at this yellow-haired girl? It could be. Yeah, that's how the Notnilc does business if anybody's new here. Hey, look at this. Notnilc travel tourists. Peter Stuyvesant Monuments, New York City Parks. Well, why hasn't his shit been torn down like Christopher Columbus and everything? I don't think they'll do the same thing to Peter Stuyvesant. In a way, maybe also considering the Peter Stuyvesant high school was right in the shadow of the towers during the big day, and it played a part in that. I don't think they'll turn their fake ire and their script towards his monuments, and people don't know who this is. They'll just leave him alone. He's the worst vampire of them all, most likely. But here it says, on the little tombstone underneath his peg leg, it says, Peter Stuyvesant, Director General of New Netherland. I thought, oh yeah, New Amsterdam is the city where he originally, of course, screwed over the Delaware and other indigenous peoples to move them out. New Netherlands was like the entire region of which he was Director General in that whole New York area where they had to move all the indigenous and American Indian populations out and war with them and screw them over. I see. So New Netherland, basically, you know what they should have called it? Dutch Wonderland. This horseshit amusement park up Route 30 in Lancaster here. I don't know if they've improved it, but every time I went as a kid, my grandparents, Dutch Wonderland up in the Amish country. Absolute horseshit. I hope they've improved it. That's what they should have called his region. Just for your own reference, as Notnilc travel tourists, Dutch Wonderland, the amusement park, is in there like the seedy, trashy part of Route 30, but it's not far from where this famous scene in Witness took place. Would have only been about 20 minutes away or so. Remember, he put the ice cream cone in, was it Lapp or Stoltzfus put it in his face? Remember, and he can't fight back. Just like it was in Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner screamed at Terrence Mann, "You're a pacifist!" Remember, and he says, "Shit, now you're gonna are you hijacking me? Is that what I'm gonna take you to a baseball game?" Same thing here. He can't fight back. But then Harrison Ford stepped up. He says, "You messed with the wrong Amish, motherfucker." Matt, what does that schizophrenic sidebar conversation have to do with Notnilc travel tours and where we're supposed to be traveling to today? You know what it has to do with it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I have one more thing to say regarding this nothing. I searched in the Google box the movie Witnessed ice cream cone scene. Knew the images would come right up. The guy being tapped in the face with a vanilla ice cream cone. Tap, 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 tap. This clown was returned to me again. Terrence Howard. Just because he's holding an ice cream cone. Any chance for the Notnilc to push this schizophrenic individual, it will do so. Okay, I hear you. It's time to move on. So without further ado, whatever that means, today we are visiting as Notnilc travel tourists Portugal. I hear a lot of you complaining, Portugal? That ain't exciting. That ain't shit. I'm out of here. I'll come back when you go back to a place like Tasmania, Borneo, or some lost city in the Middle East. Look, there's several reasons why we have to visit Portugal today. Just give me a chance, please, people. Number one. Remember the video a few weeks back where I started to fantasize that we might all have to go live in the abandoned rural settings or villages of Portugal? And I showed clips from that one guy. He's just going rural town after rural town. It's like 10 to 20% occupied. 80% have left for the cities. Some towns completely in ruins. I thought this is actually, if we can do a Notnilc free zone. Remember the NFZ? If we can negotiate a Notnilc free zone with the Notnilc itself, we can go live out. So this is actually moving into step two. Matt, are you really, not quite, we're not ready to move there yet, but we need to keep investigating. But here's the real reason for that Portugal was originally on the list for Notnilc travel tours. Same price, $666.66. Portugal was one of the original colonial powers, screwing over all the First Nations, tribal, ancient, indigenous, and Indian populations. Right there with the Brits, with the French, with the Dutch, with the Spanish, was this little Portugal, this little nothing place was right there. This little nothing place got a country twice the size of the United States to speak its language. That's something. Brazil speaks Portuguese. How'd this little nothing place accomplish that? This ain't nothing. We gotta look into this. You go down to Brazil, they speak Portuguese. Now, how'd this little nothing place accomplish that? Matt, one word. You should know it better than anybody else. Notnilc. Yeah. As usual, we start with the map, showing everybody where we will be traveling to. No, not everybody knows where it is. I hear you yelling and screaming at me. No, see, when my best friend in ninth grade went to the board or went up front and there was a giant map and the teacher said, "Show me China," and it was actually Japan. And he had no idea where to look. He was looking like off the coast of Costa Rica. He had no idea where to look for Japan. I have to assume even some people here in our group have a geography level which is bordering on idiocracy. We start with the map. See, Portugal here is this little nothing place just on the tip of Spain, the western tip of Spain, like a wart on Spain's chin. Why? Whoever ruled Spain, how'd they let this happen? You should be ashamed of yourself. Isn't it Isabella and the Spanish not idiocracy, aristocracy? Is there any difference? How'd you let this happen? Who lost a bet to let this little country carve itself out like a wart on your chin? Whatever. But see, here's the capital, Lisbon. Now, here's a personal story related to this. The first 5 times I saw the movie Casablanca with Humphrey Bogart, they were stuck in Frank's Cafe in Casablanca, which is in Morocco. They were stuck there, I guess, during the war or something. They were trying to get to Lisbon. First 5 times I saw, where the hell is Lisbon? Why are you trying to get there? I had a general sense of where they were. Why not try to get up to Mallorca and relax or something? Go to Spain. Why are you trying to get to Lisbon? They got direct TWA flights during World War II back to New York. I had no idea that Lisbon was the capital of Portugal. I'd say the first 5 times I saw Casablanca with Humphrey Bogart, and okay, we got to appease the Paco Taco Trans Paco army. Ingrid Bergman. I'm sorry, Paco Chaco Transpaco Taco Army just because her last name has man in it. I mean, you were even if her last name was Smith, you all would be convinced that it's a man because everybody has to be a man. No, this is one of the most beautiful old school Hollywood actresses. I don't she wouldn't even want to be called an actor. She's an actress, classy. You know what? If I lived back then, if I could have gone in and taken old Rick out back and old Rick's Cafe, hey Humphrey, you're looking a little old, a little used up. I'm getting the Bergman. I would take my chances. If she would have been wearing Michael O's tuck guard, well, so be it. Trans Paco Taco. I would have taken my chances. Just let her alone, just because the last name contains man. Go pick on George Clooney's wife or something like that. I'll show you this picture while I read a bit from the Wikipedia. Yeah, I hear you. Matt, this part's boring. Who cares about the Wikipedia? It's travel tours. We have to learn something here. We might be living there soon, okay? Here it is. It's part of what's called the Iberian Peninsula. Now, peninsula it's like an island, but with like a little tiny connection to land. So it's like an island wannabe. It's almost an island, but it's still connected. So with Spain, it's the Iberian Peninsula. Okay? Blah, blah, blah. This part's even more boring. One of the oldest countries in Europe. Its territory has been continuously settled and fought over since prehistoric times. That's the same Notnilc repeating script of ancient war after war after war after war after war. Well, if there's war after war after war all the time throughout Europe, how'd they have the excess capacity and time and downtime to build the cathedral at Cologne? See, that's a conflicting history, but we'll move on. The territory was inhabited by the Celtic and Iberian peoples, such as the Lusitanians. That's where they got the damn ship name from. The Gallo-Galatians, the whatever, I can't pronounce this horse shit. These people had some commercial and cultural contact with the Phoenicians. That's where the word phone comes from. Ancient Greeks and Carthaginians, whatever. It was later ruled by the Romans, as everything was, as Bagger said, as we all were, and followed with invasions by Germanic peoples. That's another repeating Notnilc script. I told you they would come together with blah, 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 blah. Okay. Portugal formally became an independent kingdom with the Treaty of Zamora in 1143. Again, who had pictures on who for them to pull this off and carve that little wart out of Spain? During the 15th and 16th centuries, Portugal led the Age of Discovery. Oh, they make it sound so grand. It's the age of screwing over the indigenous. Established one of the longest-lived maritime and commercial empires, becoming one of the main economic and political powers of the time. Of course, that was its role in the Notnilc script. By the early 19th century, events such as the 1755 Lisbon earthquake, the country's occupation during the Napoleonic Wars, and the resulting independence of Brazil in 1822 led to a marked decay of Portugal's prior opulence. Yeah, and then you had the downfall, putting the colonial powers back into their place. The fall of this one was a little harder than, say, France and the UK, and it's the little nothing country that it is today. Matt, how you expect to get in there bad-mouthing it? Good point. I better clean up my act. Okay, just 3 more minutes here. We have to do this tail of the tape exercise. Have to have an idea or basic understanding of where we'll be traveling to before we resume our fun with Portugal. Now, it doesn't show it here, but it's 10 million in the total population. The entire greater, say, Manhattan, New York City area, if you include all the boroughs and the horrible parts of Hoboken and it's New Jersey, that greater area is 10 million by itself. This whole country is 10 million. So it's rather sparse, which is good. I mean, if you're like me, you just want to be left alone. So especially if we can do a Notnilc free zone or an NFZ, I mean, I like the way this sets up for us if they'll let us in the country. Nationality, 92.5 Portuguese nationals, 7.5 resident foreigners. Now, what this means is they've mostly kept the foreign hordes out. All the foreign hordes pouring across the borders, like they say, ruining Sweden and places like that. It seems like they've mostly kept the foreign hordes out, which is I'm fine with that too. I don't want to have no travel zones or whatever. If it's a no-go zone in their cities, then they can't come in our Notnilc free zone. The foreign hordes can't come in our NFZ. What, Matt? Religion, 84.6 Christianity, 80% Catholics. That's concerning. That's concerning. Yeah. Oh boy, they actually think highly of The Pope? Wow. It doesn't matter as long as they leave our not milk free zone alone. It's okay, the Christianity, but see, it's so Catholic dominated. There's issues there. Let's not the Christian piece, the Catholic piece. You understand? The Christians, Matt, you don't have to explain the difference. We got it. We understand the Pope probably gets on his Nimbus 2000 and flies around. Oh, okay, I hear you. We're on the same page. We're going to be one. Portuguese is the denonym. I don't know what that is. No idea. Government. Government is a unitary, semi-presidential republic. That's just another way of saying reports to Notnilc. Semi-presidential republic. Oh, what a coincidence. And all these Western countries all have a similar form of government handed out by the Notnilc, the way a teacher would hand out little stickers for your damn report card or something. I mean, it's what a one world system gives itself away at every turn. What an absolute joke. President Marcelo Rebello del Sousa. Marcelo Rebello, you should be ashamed of yourself, sir. Speaker, who cares? Oh, it has a prime minister and a president. Like, we're not confused enough. Which one has the real power? Guess what? Neither. They both bend over before Notnilc. Now, this part always gets a lot more fun. Prehistory. They always have to remind you, per the Notnilc script, that you came from Monkey Man and Marmot. Whenever they can, all remind you that this is where you came from. And what a bunch of horseshit. Let's look at this. The region has been inhabited by humans since circa 400,000 years ago. By the way, I had to look circa up. It means approximately. When Homo heidelbergensis entered the area. What the? I studied these different Neanderthal beings in school. I never heard of this one. What the hell is Homo heidelbergensis entered the area? Was there like an announcement? Homo heidelbergensis is entering the area. What the hell does this mean? The oldest human fossil found in Portugal is the 400,000-year-old Aroria 3. H. heidelbergensis skull discovered in the cave of Aroria in 2014. That ain't nothing but plaster of Paris bones. Later Neanderthals. Okay, here. This is part of the Notnilc script. These poor devils, these Neanderthals, the ones that supposedly went extinct, they're always brought in and out of this sort of script, aren't they? Bring in the Neanderthal man and put him in the script. Where? I don't know. Just put that poor son of a bitch in our script. It's always in there, isn't it? Oh, Matt, don't you know they went extinct? No, I never heard that. The Neanderthals roamed. They were the more primitive ones. They didn't develop into the iPhone and Galaxy wielder that you are. Neanderthals roamed the northern Iberian Peninsula, and one freaking molar was found at the Nova da Columbiria cave in Estremundo. Matt, don't try to pronounce it. You're embarrassing yourself, and you're embarrassing me. People are listening to me, listening to this. Sorry. Homo sapiens, this is us. This is you and me, guys. Pay attention. Homo sapiens sapiens, that's us, means double dumb, arrived in Portugal around 35,000 years ago and spread rapidly. Well, talk to the Chinese about that, as we all do. Celtic tribes inhabited Portugal. What a bunch of horse shit. Why should I believe any of this? Early in the first millennium BC, several waves of Celts invaded Portugal from Central Europe and intermarried. This is like the Nephilim story with the local populations to form several different ethnic groups. Celts, why don't you stay in your own lands? Keep to yourself. The Celtic presence is patent in archaeological and linguistic evidence. Who knows what that means and what bot wrote that in what context. The Celtic presence is patent. Okay. They dominated most of northern and central Portugal, while the south maintained its older character, believed non-Indo-European, likely related to Basque, until the Roman conquest. That has to be part of every single script. In southern Portugal, blah, 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 the Phoenicians, blah, blah, blah. Let's move on before I lose everybody. Oh, here we go with the most predictable part of the script. This always has to come in. Romans first invaded the Iberian Peninsula in 219 BC. The Carthaginians, Rome's adversary in the Punic Wars. The hell are the Punic Wars? Were expelled from their coastal colonies. During Julius Caesar's rule, almost the entire peninsula was annexed to Rome. Of course it was. Julius Caesar's rule. How many times was he stabbed? Notnilc gives itself away with little details carried through time artificially that shouldn't exist. Nobody should know how many times he was stabbed. Even it was recorded the day after. It wouldn't exist today. One stab wound would blend into the other. Notnilc script. The conquest took 200 years, and many died, including those sentenced to work in slave mines and sold as slaves to other parts of the empire. Roman occupation suffered a setback in 155 BC when a rebellion began in the north. That's like the William Wallace script. Father, rebellion's begun. Under who? A commoner. William Wallace. But he doesn't even have a title, but he fights with passion, and you wish to charge off as he did. It's time to survive. Forget Longshanks. These Romans are about 1,000 times more powerful. They were dumb enough to start a rebellion against Longshanks. You don't do rebellions against the Romans, at least not part of as this script is presented by the Notnilc. The Lusitanians build a ship. No, the Lusitanians and other native tribes, are they going to get screwed over? Under the leadership of Viriathus. Who names these people? Wrestled control of all the western Iberia. Rome sent legions to quell the rebellion, but were unsuccessful. Roman leaders bribed Viriathus allies to kill him in 139. Again, too much detail. They bribed. How would anybody know there was a bribe given? How would that be recorded? When you study history, guys, especially going back to Herodotus and all this nonsense about the hot gates, and okay, there's some basic history that's probably correct, but the Notnilc has put little details in that nobody notices. The details could not possibly have been carried through time through these history books. It's a Notnilc giveaway. Guys, as usual, there's so much invasion, conquest, reconquest. I have to switch to another program to get through all the invasions and all the different groups that moved in and out, as usual. But the Cathedral of Cologne, they had time and free time to build that in the middle of all their invasions and preparing for war. Rome and Portugal, we've just been through this. The Germanic kingdoms. In 409, with the decline of the Roman Empire, the Iberian Peninsula was occupied by Germanic tribes, and then they came and invaded. This is the part of the Clive Owen, King Arthur, where they call them the Saxons. The Saxons are coming from the north, and they had to team up with Merlin. I think this is that invader group predicted or portrayed in that movie. Roman institutions disappeared in the wake of the Germanic invasions, with the exception of ecclesiastical organizations. Okay, well, everybody has to invade all the time, doesn't it? Genghis the Khan and the Huns, and it just seems a little bit odd to me. I'm sorry. We've been through this with Genghis the Khan. Once you get a couple 100 miles away from home and you say, wait a second, we don't got no water supply. We don't got no food supply. We're far from home. We miss our family. And it just happens too much. It's a script of some kind. I can't explain it, guys. In 429, the Visigoths, we've all heard of them. Who are they? Who knows? Moved south to expel the Alans. Oh, more fighting for territory and more. It's end. Oh, the Islamic period. They had to get involved. Really? Today's continental Portugal, along with most of modern Spain, was invaded by the south and became part of the Al-Andalus, 726 to 1249. That's right when they started to build the Cathedral of Cologne. After defeating the Visigoths in a few months, this certain caliphate that I can't pronounce started expanding rapidly, as they all do, into the peninsula. Beginning in 726, the land that is now Portugal became part of the vast, unpronounceable caliphate's empire, which was spurned from Damascus. And what happened to them? What poor devils pushed them out? Continuing from the top, invasions from the north also occurred in this period, with Viking incursions raiding the coast between They invaded the Vikings between the 9th and the 11th centuries, including Lisbon. This resulted in the establishment of small Norse settlements in the coastline between two things I can't pronounce again. This whole region you don't go out there. You don't go out there to live if you can't pronounce one damn thing. Norse settlements? What, the Viking pitch and putt, miniature golf courses? What Norse settlements? What evidence of there? Guys, this is quite amazing. Let's just go back to what we've seen here. I mean, we talk about repeating themes. That's one of the reasons we do Notnilc travel tours. Okay, prehistory talked about, let's remember this Homo heidelbergensis. That'll come back into play here. But then, Romans invaded. Okay, whatever poor devil indigenous people were there, the Romans came in. And then the Germanic invasions, right? Then we saw the Islamic invasions. And now it continues. We have the Vikings getting involved. Like the Vikings, what was like Matt Dillon, was his name Matt Dillon? And what was it, Upstate Gold Pony Boy, the outside? It's like, ain't going to be a rumble without me. The Vikings are like, we hear this Portugal, these sons of bitches are invaded by there ain't going to be no invasion of Portugal without us. Let's mobilize to Portugal, the Vikings said. And Bolvi and Antonio Banderas and the 13 warriors mobilized. There ain't going to be a rumble without us, said Matt Dillon before the rumble with Pony Boy. What was the other guy's name? Soda Pop. That was Rob Lowe. And Little Johnny, Stay Gold or whatever. So the Vikings had to get in on the invasion in the Notnilc script. And it was, of course, but here's what I was going to say about that. What was the monkey man that they talked about all the way up here? This monkey man was Homo heidelbergensis. Okay. They knew exactly when Homo heidelbergensis, not that there's anything wrong with the first part of that name, when Homo heidelbergensis came in, they were real sure, right? Notnilc, 400,000 years. They knew it, right? Probably right down to the minute. But here, see, they don't know when exactly the Vikings came in, and they give it 200-year leeway. Because of course they had to use these numbers paired, exactamundo. But so the Vikings, the incursion with live bodies, we weren't sure if it was the 9th, 10th, or 11th century. That's basically a 300-year period. There's not sure, and that's not that long ago. But they knew that Homo sapien heidelbergensis erectus monkey man, they knew that was 400,000 years. So they're more sure about Homo erectus bones in the dirt than they are when the damn Vikings invaded not that long ago. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, Notnilc. Good job. Good job, Notnilc, you idiots. Do better on your script. It continues. I'm mostly going to skip the next 3 paragraphs, but the first sentence at the top is relevant. Here's another group that conquered, in this case, reconquered. Can anybody name all the groups and countries that conquered this little wart on the side of Spain? The Reconquista was a period when Christians reconquered the Iberian Peninsula from Moorish domination. They're going to now take it back. It's like their own little version of the Crusades. They're going to push those devils back to the south. Get back to Damascus, where y'all belong. The Moorish domination. When Morgan Freeman was in Robin Hood with Kevin Costner, remember he was talking to Kevin Costner's servant who became blind. Kevin Costner's inside trying to find the Lady Marian or whatever, and they're outside. And the servant's, I forget what he says. It's been a long time. I don't detect where are you from? You sound funny to me or something. And then Morgan Freeman's like, I'm Moorish. And then the guy gets all worried or something. He's all afraid that Morgan Freeman's a bloodthirsty Moor is going to take a knife to his throat right there and then. But that's not the invasion that these fake Wikipedia articles are talking about, guys. Morgan Freeman in the movie was just there to pay a debt to Kevin Costner. So sorry, but so then you have Reconquista. We need to take it back. Oh, yeah, okay. Look, guys, there's parts of history that are true. I'm not saying it's all, there was a reset 150 years ago and it's all fake. I'm not going there. Okay, I don't go that far. But I ask you to notice when too much detail is being presented, repeating themes and scripts, reality breakdowns from time to time. Yes, okay, obviously I have my issues with history. Okay, I'm not saying it's all fake. Let's just stick to the Notnilc travel tours. We'll talk about that some other time. All right, let's just second to last paragraph. This is where it becomes more like the Portugal of today, when the Notnilc then starts to use its noblemen to fulfill its goals, its kings, its queens, its dukes of earls, and all these ladies and lords and these assholes. This phase is forming now for Portugal, not these invaders. And that was the gig they played last millennia. This is the new millennia. Let me go over here so I can scroll quickly and we get through this. After annexing the county of Portugal into one of the counties that made up the kingdom of Asturias, blah, 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 the first count was appointed. The region became known as whatever, which led to the modern name of Portugal. 1093, Alfonso VI of Leon. Leon is some autonomous region at this period in the Iberian Peninsula. Blah, blah, blah. Independence. At the Battle of Sal Meme... Oh, I'm just skipping the names. The outskirts of wherever I can't pronounce, in 1128, Alfonso, Count of Portugal, defeated his mother. He defeated his mother in a battle. I've had some arguments, some pretty intense arguments with my mother over the years, but Mike, I never faced off in a battle of armies with her. That's rare. Countess Teresa and her lover was against Alfonso, establishing himself, her lover, as sole leader of the county. Alfonso continued his father Henry of Burgundy's Reconquista wars. Okay, here we go. By the way, any video nowadays could also be subtitled Proof of Notnilc, or Notnilc Gives Itself Away. The repeating theme. See, we see all the invading armies, so whatever Notnilc did, or whatever prehistory is true or not. But then we see what these kings and queens and this aristocracy and nobility did for Notnilc. Now that's replaced by presidents and prime ministers and assistant ski instructors and premiers, the 3 Ps. It's turned into modern politics. But what it is, blank, it's the same exact thing. It's just a different form doing it, the same bidding for Notnilc. It's just a different era or a different millennium. It's always been here. The age of discoveries, the age of effing over the indigenous. 1383, John the First, blah, blah, another battle, defeated the blah, blah, okay. Portugal spearheaded European exploration of the world in the age of discovery, under the sponsorship of Prince Henry the Navigator. Okay, here's what's very interesting. Okay, see, now all this conquest around the world and the effing over of the indigenous people will start, and making Brazil speak Portuguese, and all this. Portugal will play its role, and Spain will play its role, and Britain and France and the Netherlands, the Dutch. Okay, now all this invasion stuff will just stop. Right? I mean, there'll be some wars, and the Brits will still fight with the French, whatever. But, what these huge invasions, and all of it will stop, because that's not the time for the Notnilc to play that. That's the old gig for the Notnilc. This is the new gig. Go back to the 7-Eleven job application, that big day in 2001. Okay, we saw, and then what happened after that? It couldn't keep up the dial. It couldn't keep it to 10 out of 10 in terms of its strength. Had to pull little bullshit stories off, like the shoe blanker and the underwear blanker and all. But then when See the V Me of 2020 hit, all that teism stuff just went away. See, it can't play major gigs at the same time, this Notnilc. There were no like all the teism people, they just were scared about, somebody's coughing on the street. I had my belt, I was all strapped up, but somebody's coughing on the street, so I couldn't go out. Then that gig couldn't play at the same time as the old, and it's the same here. The age of discovery, the age of effing over the indigenous. What about all that other stuff that was happening in the last 1,000 years? All stopped. Oh, what a coincidence. Portugal now is spearheading European exploration. Is that what you call it? Age of discovery. Prince Henry, blah, all the things they did, and all the, I'm sure if we die, we're not gonna do this in detail. Okay. The Treaty of Tordesillas of 1494 was intended to resolve a dispute, of course, created following the return of Christopher Columbus. And now they're, little petty fights on land, but they're going to go out and send their ships all over the world. And again, every single woman that gives birth to a man over the last 2,000 years should have desperately wanted a woman, because you got to fight in the Roman army, you go off and get slaughtered, got to go sail the Portuguese ships, got to go off fighting this war, screw over this indigenous person, work for Peter Stuyvesant. Every single male born for about 1,500 years just went off to wage war of some kind. The whole population should have been female. There should have been there. It's ridiculous. It's too much of a repeating script. I don't care what parts are right or wrong or correct. I see the overall script. I see it from 100,000 feet looking down. It's basically a fake world of some kind. No matter what parts are real, it doesn't matter. We're not going to get in this spiritual, touchy-feely tree hugger conversation right now. We're going to stick to Notnilc travel tours. But you know what I'd say about this? the Iberian Union and Restoration. War led to deterioration of relations. More war, as H.G. Wells predicted on that ship in that interview. I predict war between the Western powers and Germany, as his book predicted it 8 years out. Oh, sure. Yeah, H.G. Wells in that interview, that was 6 years before World War II. H.G. Wells in his book predicted it 8 years out, right to the month. Right, well, let's just say right to the year. It was more precise than that. And H.G. Wells, I predict war! H.G. Wells, thou art a villain and you're not no puppet like everybody else. Let's look at some pictures of Portugal. And I do have to praise Wikipedia right here before we start. The pictures on Wikipedia are some of the few pictures that still exist anywhere in the world that aren't in the clutches of Getty Images. They're a team of lawyers like hungry dogs if you misuse their image. It's not like the kid in the movie Better Off Dead with John Cusack. $2. Getty, $2,000 if you misuse some of their images. They'll sick their lawyers on like a team of hungry dogs. So thank you, Wikipedia. Let's go through. But by the way, though, if this is the main, you could say, megalithic structure in Portugal, if this is the best they can do, this ain't shit. I mean, think of the megalithic structures around the world, starting from the Great Pyramid, working on down. I mean, if this is the best, I've made stoves in the backyard that I think were more grand and larger than this. This ain't shit. All right, sorry, Portugal. You got to stay out of the megalithic structure business, or at least try to hide the ones you've done. That's embarrassing. Ancient regions of Portugal. There's Leon up here. Half this research, I thought that was France. It's supposedly some sort of autonomous region. Who's this clown? A statue of Count Vilmara Perez, first Count of Portugal. Why don't they rip his statue down like all the others? Maybe they are. Maybe they rip his statue, topple it over like Saddam's, and put it in the same pile that all the Lenin statues went to. I mean, isn't that the Notnilc script that's being played out now? Just ripped down? Everybody but Peter Stuyvesant. You keep that up, of course. Who's this? King Alfonso I ruled between 1143 and 1185. He's got his armor on. Matt, he must be very courageous. His crown and his armor. Did he go into battle with his troops, Matt? According to this painting, it looks like he mounted up. No, he likely rode in the other direction. The painter's painting this like, hurry up. What? Why should I hurry up, sir? Oh, you want to get to the battle? No, I want to get this damn armor off and ride in the other direction. No, you can't see what happens after this. He stripped this armor down and ran out the back of the tent, mounted up, and got the hell out of there. Of course, the painting proves he was in the battle. That's all that matters to these assholes. Who's it? Veracruz Caravel replica sailing on the Tagus River near Lisbon. That's meaningless to me. I don't know what was just said there. Any tales of chemicals? Yeah. Matt, if you do get your little Notnilc free zone, I guarantee in the contract they're going to tales of chemical you and your NFZ, just like everybody else. We could maybe negotiate that out. No, don't underestimate what maybe we're more in the thorn in the side of this Notnilc than you would think. We'll see. What's this? Areas that were at some point part of the Portuguese Empire. Thanos didn't control this much. Look at this little mole on the side of Spain here. Forget all this shit. This is easy, all this shit. Here's the big one. Brazil. What did Vin Diesel say in, what was it, Fast and the Furious 5? You're making a mistake. You still in America, Rock, you son of a beach. This is Brazil. You know how freaking big this place is? This little mole wart couldn't do, unless it was all Notnilc salt to it in some way. It's got some powers that we can't quite comprehend. You think this little wart could make this whole place speak Portuguese? You know how large this area is? If you started at 10 years old up here, up here, you started some Peckerwood boy about to set foot across the entire expanse of Brazil, work your way south, it would take you, if you could survive it, which nobody would, it would take you an entire lifetime to walk it. because it ain't just walking the yellow brick road, dude. And the Munchkins come out to help you. You got to traverse the freaking Amazon and the jungles, and then this is going to block you, and you're going to have a ravine. How do we get around it? We got to go 800 miles to the south. We go 800 miles to the west to get around it. It would take you in that time period your natural life. But some here, these little sons of bitches, they sail down. They sail down here. I'm recording. I'm in the right program where you can see my little thing here. Sorry. I almost made a fool of them. I thought this was a fixed screenshot. No, this is a record. They landed somewhere around here, Rio de Janeiro. They took the beach. So if you take the beach of Rio de Janeiro, somehow you can get this whole landmass. It's like 10 times the size of Texas. Told you I flew over Texas, fell asleep for 30 minutes, woke up, said, where are we? Still over Texas. It's that big. 10 Texases could fit in here. Yet they landed on some beach. They cracked open their rum and cokes and some bulls. If this doesn't prove Notnilc, what does? This is ridiculous. Let's move on. If people can't see this, what is this? Oh, here we go. We'll appease the impossible architecture people and how they build that shit, people. Oh, UNESCO. I'm telling you, whenever it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it's just a given that there's something either false in the history, something weird happened. UNESCO does not slap its little label on something normal. There'd be a whole video here, whatever this place is, if we looked into it. Looked like the same sons of bitches that built the Winter Palace in Russia. We'll talk about a reality actually moving in reverse, and we'll talk about that metaphysical stuff later. I'm not just going to do the architecture. Oh, inherited. Hijack! Inherited. It's just inherited. Got to do better than that. Sorry. Got to do better than screaming inherited in terms of how architecture can't be explained. Or again, if it's what's the year on this? It doesn't say here. What's with all these invasions? How'd you have time to build this shit? Weren't you being invaded, sir? Oh, that all stopped once the Notnilc played the next phase of its game. All right, what's this? Marquis de Pombal ruled Portugal during the reign of Joseph I, effectively ruled. Oh, he has just like Kirsten Dunst said before she met Louis Auguste in Marie Antoinette. Looks like he has a kind face in this picture. But oh boy, it's all Notnilc though. Look, he's got his arm pointed back to the fleet of ships. It's some sort of allusion that his fleet of ships are going to sail out and screw over all the indigenous. I take it back. That kind face was painted in by a painter that didn't do it accurately. He's a villain, this guy. Look at him. Look at the hand. Here are my ships that are going off right now, as you can see, because we ain't got no TV, to screw the indigenous people over, to rob their history, to replace their names, to remove their gods. Yeah, this person's a villain. What was I thinking? What's this? The Lisbon earthquake of 755. I don't know what happened, the repeating themes. We've seen it with the fires. Fires destroyed this building. Fires destroyed that building. Since the first grade truther doesn't examine the repeating themes of reality itself, they just yell fake. I appreciate that to a degree. That's better than what my family does, but it's not going far enough. The repeating themes of a reality script is more important than trying to figure out what exactly is fake and what exactly is real. Certainly better than just screaming fake every single time. Lisbon earthquake again, probably just like everything else, magically rebuilt inside of 100 years, just like Grozny. Same sons of bitches that rebuilt Grozny. The great-grandfathers rebuilt this place overnight. Same sons of bitches that rebuilt the San Francisco in 1907 to 1912. You arrive for that 1912 Pan-Pacific Expo, it's like nothing happened. I thought there was an earthquake here. There was. It was all... Where'd you get all the manpower to reconstruct all the buildings? Don't ask questions. Just enjoy the Pan-Pacific Expo and shut your mouth. Okay. What's this? I don't need to see endless pictures of the Lisbon earthquake. This is another area. They claim this part of Africa. You know how inhospitable this is? You know how impossible it would be for any country? If Germany teamed up with France, teamed up with Britain, teamed up with... they all teamed up together just to conquer, just to put their stakes in the ground in this part of Africa. You know how impossible it would be? The Soviet Union can't hold Afghanistan, right? in the late 70s with MiGs and Sukhoi 20 aircraft and all the choppers and helicopters that we saw in Rambo, the First Blood Part 2. I mean, this is impossible. But Matt, they just say they controlled it. All they did was land on the beach, have a few rums and cokes, sail out, and say they got it. Yeah, I hear you. But if they did, I mean, that's even more Notnilc black magic. Who's this guy? Antonio de Oliveira Salazar. I didn't go that far in the Wikipedia. Mr. Salazar, no disrespect, but I have no idea who you are, and I don't care much. Armed soldiers jumping from helicopters during the Portuguese colonial war. Even the modern wars, they kept fighting and fighting, just as Bagger said, just as they all do. As they all do. Give me a break. Stop. I think the Notnilc understands now that no matter how gone the people are, they just won't, at least a war in their own backyard. Most of the West, I understand Russia and Ukraine and whatever script is playing out there, but the Notnilc understands it can't play this war theme out. People just, even the most gone of the masses won't do it anymore, just won't participate it anymore. I think, go ahead, Notnilc, have another war. People will see right through it. It will be the code word shallow how once a gal, and people will wake up to the real Rosemary. That's what'll happen. Go ahead, Notnilc. Right now, Notnilc's shelving its war plans just based on this video. No, I don't think so. But it does get a transcript of my videos from the Chat GPT that delivers it almost in real time. What is this? Portugal, Treaty of Lisbon in 2007. Treaty of Lisbon. I don't understand what this is. I don't care. Okay, that's a nice... Lisbon is there. Where are we going? Where are these empty towns and cities and half-empty places and dilapidated towns and shit? I think they said north, right? So we live here, guys. We'll be up here somewhere. Why don't we should carve out the Notnilc free zone right now. Just like, remember in the Mel Gibson movie, The Patriot, where the Green Dragoon, he can't, employ his brutal tactics. What was his name? Cornwallis said these brutal tactics must stop, but then he needs to get Mel Gibson. He needs to get the ghost, and he's willing to look the other way about the brutal tactics. And the guy says, whatever that famous actor's name is, he says, talk to me about Ohio. Remember? And he's going to ask for a humongous amount of land in return for finally bringing in the ghost, which was Mel Gibson and his little tomahawk hatchet. Well, maybe if we are the thorn in the side of Notnilc that we believe we could be, I would say to the Notnilc right now, ChatGPT, deliver this message for the Notnilc free zone. Talk to me about northern Portugal and how many thousands of acres we may require to stop. Obviously, if anybody's new, it doesn't care one bit about the little truth we expose amongst ourselves. Nobody listens to us. These videos don't get out to anybody, and we've already compromised our reputation, and we're the boy and girl that cried wolf. So our leverage in terms of negotiating a Notnilc free zone is rather limited. With that being said, Notnilc, if you're listening, we're still willing to talk. We can't stay in the United States is getting so out of control with this Biden-Trump thing. We can't stay here much longer. There's some beautiful parts. Matt, can we get any of this in Notnilc free zone for us? Maybe. We don't know the extent of our negotiations until we get into arbitration, guys. Until we get into arbitration, not mediation, we want arbitration. Who's the arbitrator? Mr. T? Oh, snow-capped mountains. Anybody want this in their backyard once we get into the NFC? Matt, what about all the Portuguese we're going to need to displace? The larger we make our NFC, the more Portuguese will need to be forcibly removed. I don't know if I care, to be honest with you. If we get our NFC, we get our NFC. Because how would you justify that? Well, I'd have to do a real spiritual being versus an NPC test. If a real spiritual being, I would say join us in the Notnilc free zone. I wouldn't want them to be removed. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, this is the current president. I can't really tell, can't get a reading on him to see what kind of entity he is, or if he's originally from Jared Kushner's planet. I can't get a reading. I don't think he's a nice guy. I mean, whereas they all have the same script, all lapel pin as usual. That script came out in 2001. Absolutely some sort of Notnilc puppet, but in terms of what sort of dark entity this individual would be, I can't get a reading on that. But I'll look to your comments. Oh boy. Imagine your little girl daughter bringing a picture home. I have a new boyfriend, whipping this out. Imagine your little daughter whipping this image out of her purse, and he's coming for dinner tonight. Oh God. Enough to make you want to, not eat. Bella, I don't know who that was. I think I was in the European Union or something, which makes him a villain by default. Belem Palace serves the official residence and workplace of the president of the workplace. What an oxymoron that is. If you just take orders and read teleprompters, ain't no workplace, dude. And you go off to play tennis at 11:30 every day. There's huge tennis courts in the back. And who decided on the paint color of this place? Who decided on the paint colors? I mean, this is almost as bad as that parliamentary building in Iceland. It's actually far worse. Although the landscaping, remember how bad it was in Iceland? They had those Charlie Brown half-dead Christmas trees in front of the one in Iceland. This is actually pretty well. It ain't no Versailles, I'll tell you that. Portugal, Lisbon, this ain't no Versailles. I mean, this really. I mean, I've trimmed my boxwoods before the voles ate them down to nothing. The voles, they literally fell over with no root ball. The voles ate them like candy. I trimmed my boxwoods better than this horse shit. That's when they used to be in the front of the house, those damn voles. I had pine voles, not meadow voles. They're worse. They live in the ground. They're like little rats with big teeth that eat freaking bushes and trees. I warred on those voles for years. I don't care anymore. Let them eat whatever they want. I have a different attitude. Oh, we can repeat the same Tartaria scripts here. Well, are the Tartaria people here with us at Quantum of Conscience? It's with you. Hijacked Tartaria. Yeah, okay. I do appreciate one thing with the Tartaria narrative. I appreciate them noticing the repeating narratives. I don't think they go far enough, and they don't have a conversation that talks about reality itself. They think things are too real. That's their problem. But you just continue to back up, guys, and look more about the general reality script, not an explanation for why this thing is here. Okay, we'll talk more about that later. I guess is this their fake flag? The Notnilc gave them green and red. It's not quite emerald. It's not quite magenta. Oh, they have to. Oh no. I don't know what's coming, guys. I couldn't do this scripted. You could tell it's all over the place. It's not. If it was scripted, we wouldn't get the same amount of laughs. I have no idea what's coming. F3333. Jeff's like, I knew that was coming. Jeff, and they have to have their own navy. Why don't they just say, I'm not spending any money here, and we'll just assume that the European Union will take care of things and won't allow us to be invaded. Why they have to have all their own? Because Notnilc requires it, and it's just and the money multiplier in this world where there has to be trillions off books that slosh around all over the place, so the whole thing collapses. You need to have places to put your money. It's one of the reasons there's baseball players that sit on the bench that have $150 million contracts that don't even play. It's one reason everything in these areas being inflated. The Notnilc has to throw its money around as much as possible. And somehow the Whopper computer, working with its Chat GPT and its Gemini, knows how to keep the inflation at bay. And I know it's bad for a lot of us, but it has been. Considering the hundreds of trillions they've probably thrown around in the last 100 years, many of which would be off books. It's amazing that again, like I've said, and one apple isn't $10. So they have kept the inflation under control, considering how much money they've thrown around. But they throw it into these battleships because it's just another place for money to park. But we'll talk about that some other time. All right, we'll move through these a little bit more quickly. Lisbon's Campus of Justice. I guess that's like the Justice League for DC Comics. Where's the Legion of Doom? Legion of Doom is actually the EU itself. In this metaphor. Look at that. Public security police agents patrolling in bicycles. Look at this. Irish pub. They're everywhere. Irish pubs are everywhere, as is the 88 and the numerology. Territorial map of Portugal corresponding to the European Union's nuts 1 and nuts 2 designation for nuts. You can't make this up, guys. I don't know what this is. At the bottom, European Union's nuts 1 and nuts 2 designation for nuts. Statistical regions of Portugal. You know what nuts is? Modern society and culture. Portugal numbered. It's all run together here at the bottom. Little regions, I guess. Actually, Matt, do you think we can get one of these entire regions for Notnilc Free Zone? Maybe. Again, we won't know till arbitration. Vasco da Gama Tower. Oh, always a celebration of their little explorers. Have to keep that script up in the forefront. And the Vasco da Gama Bridge, the longest bridge in the EU, is in Lisbon. Always keep your Magellan-type fake explorers front and center. Grimaldi Lines, some shipping company that brings in its giant loads of rubber dog shit from China. Volkswagen cars parked in port. Okay, finally, this is Lisbon. Matt, where are we staying for Notnilc travel? It's not shown in this picture. This is the good part of town. Remember Rodney Dangerfield in Caddyshack said, I just bought land on this certain side of the Great Wall on the good side? Well, we're on the bad side of Lisbon. What do you think you get for $666? It's not shown. It's off to the left here, but it's only a 5-minute train ride into Lisbon once we arrive. This part's too nice for us. It's in the European Union. It's expensive, guys. $666 don't go too far if you want to eat while you're there. This looks nice. Sintra. Was there any chance we could visit Sintra? Yeah, we can visit Sintra. We'll find a pool to invade, like the caddies in Caddyshack too. What is this? Vila Nova de Gaia. De Gaia? Vila Nova de Gaia. I don't know. Looks like the Griffith Observatory to me in Los Angeles. Porto. Are we going to see all these places? I don't know. Let's just get there and we'll see. I don't know. We could be locked up by now. I don't know how many days we'll be able to retain our freedom. Portugal's foreign residents by country. Who cares? That's only relevant if we're going to live there. We're not there yet. King Denis statue at the University of Coimbra. First university in Portugal. Now University of Coimbra. I can't pronounce anything in Portuguese. I just can't. It's just a disaster. It's not the same as Spanish. No, it's not. Look at that. They're selling their trinkets. Selling that shit everywhere. There's trinkets. Oh, they got their... It looks like they got their modern architecture example. Just like everything else. It says it right here even. Casa de... The musical... The House of Music is an example of modern architecture. Yeah, look at that piece of shit. You know what it looks like? It looks like a Jawa crawler to a degree, but white. You ever see The Mandalorian, original Star Wars? It looks like if there's wheels under there that crawl through the sand with a mechanized track like a tank. It's a Jawa crawler, just, veneered over in travertine or something. Some Jawa will stick his head out with a little robe on and shoot you with one of his potato guns. This is the shit we're going to be eating when we go there. It's a pastry of Lisbon. It says, I don't know, it says something like pastry. But see, it's cut off here. You can't see it. I can see it. Basically, guys, I'm not too looking. If this is the extent of their cuisine or one of the things they're most famous for, the one picture of food they have in all of Wikipedia, this is burnt cheese on a roll, basically. I mean, I'm not, is it something to be, you can't not burn it? You can't just melt cheese on a baguette? Why you got to burn it? Yeah, I hear you. If we got to eat this the whole time we're there, look forward to losing weight as well. We'll make it a Weight Watchers Oprah-sponsored trip as well. This is the last set of pictures talking about Domingos Sequeira, one of the most prolific neoclassical painters, a famous Portuguese painter. This one, 1828, is called The Adoration of the Magi, which is the three wise men. So I guess these are the three. That would then, I'm no biblical scholar. I didn't almost go to seminary school like Greg, but that would probably make this Jesus and Mary. Matt, you know your stuff. Yeah, I do. Guys, I wanted to talk about this before. I don't understand this. Why are they all bowing down in this sort of presentation? It's Jesus is just a baby. He hadn't done nothing yet. Matt, I knew this. You would turn this into an opportunity to bash Jesus. I didn't present I just react to what is presented in front of me. This is on Wikipedia under Portugal. All right, I react and talk about what's presented to me. I didn't plot and plan this Notnilc travel tours just to have an opportunity to bash Jesus. Why? I don't understand. I'm serious. Not everybody's bowing down. He's a baby. He hadn't done nothing yet, hadn't said nothing yet. I don't understand it. Again, Matt, you're embarrassing yourself. There's reasons why they don't know this is the newborn king. I guess. I don't know. Well, let me move on then if I'm embarrassing myself. Sorry. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is Luís Vaz de something, legendary poet of Portuguese Renaissance. Just happens to be missing the right eye, or is it blacked out? Or, yeah, he's missing it, guys. I mean, this sketch artist looks relatively competent. I mean, I couldn't sketch. Look how easy to see this eye is here. It's all blacked out, or well, why is he wearing a patch then? What's up with this eye? You know, and Jeff's screaming out to me, Matt, I knew the right eye symbolism would. The more you dive into it, the 9 paired with the other number. You know what I was going to say, Jeff was going to say to me, we haven't seen the 33 yet. We did see the 33 on that ship. So the only thing missing was the right eye symbolism. It's a retrocausality, Matt. It would have to show itself in this presentation, maybe. Reality is that strange. We're just about done, and the right eye presentation has to work in. Is anybody surprised? Not me. Not me. So what else do we have? We're almost done. I know that. Amelia Rodriguez. I understand that last name and can pronounce it. Performing in 1969. What's she performing? Have no idea. But the diversity of this group here is the DEI is a lot to be required. I think the European Union should look into this. I think the European Union should revoke or remove all of our old albums. There's no diversity here whatsoever. There's no DEI. It's like what one of the two brothers said in Ocean's 11. I think you should check out Provo, Utah. I think you'd like it there. I think you could do very well there. I think the European Union should look into Amelia Rodriguez, pull all her records. You know, this ain't fair right here. What else is? Oh, geez, this could be a spaghetti scrimmages. You got to get that was Ronaldo. In Philly we say soccer, not football. Remember Trading Places, Bo Diddley? He tried to sell that expensive watch, and it tells time down to so many atmospheres, water resistant in 17 countries. In Philly, it's worth $50. In Philly, Ronaldo, you play soccer, not football. Thanks for listening.